Hey, what's up? What's goody? We're back with another week of Honorable Mentions podcast, baby. Cheers to that. We got a lot coming at you today. Episode 3 with a new look on Zoom. We're very excited about Zoom. Shout out. We're joined by 2 special guests this week. We got Gordon Parks and Connor Maloney. So,
how we doing?
Of course, we got co-host Riley with us. Me and Riley are here with Connor and Gordon. Topics conversation today are going to be top 5 favorite beers and top 10 best NFL running backs this season. I know we said D linemen, but like running backs are just cooler to do, so we're going to rock with it. All right, Riley, so I'm going to
Stop burping.
I'm going to start it off, and then I'm going to be followed up by Connor, and then Riley's going to go, and then Gordon's going to clean us up. So shout out to the guests and shout out to the fans. We're going to start off with my top 5 favorite beers. So everyone knows there's a lot of beers out there. Everyone changes it up. Everyone tries different beers. I'm pretty more mainstream than most of my friends when it comes to beers. I'm a liquor guy. I'd rather wine or White Claw or anything over beer, honestly. But I do drink it often. Cheers. So first I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is going to be good old American Budweiser. Bud Heavy, the nice iconic commercials in the can, the red can. It's just dank. Everything about it, dank. Second honorable mention, finally, it's just going to be a real quick one. I just think it should be on the list. People have it on their list, but Modelo, nice little cerveza, cold cerveza, Hace Frio. I love it. We're going to come in number 5. Number 5 for me was tough between Bud Light Platinum and Coors Light, but I put Coors Light at number 5. Coors Light gets a lot of shit, bro. Everyone's
Interesting.
Coors Light. Everyone's idiots and people with no taste drink Coors Light. I think Coors Light is dank. I think that they have a label that changes to blue if it's cold, which is dank. Number 4 for me. Number 4 was a cool one. Not really around here. It's like an out west, more California vibe. But it's similar to a Corona Modelo, a little different though. Pacifico. Pacifico, great beer. My boy out in the Marines in 29 Palms Cali put me on, and Pacifico is absolutely dank on a summer day. Absolutely dank. All right, now to get into the top 3. So top 3 was kind of fun because I drink them the most. I do drink Coors Light and Bud Light Platinum a lot, but these 3 are my go-to dogs at the bar in a little rotation. These are my starting rotation. Number 3, name of the game, baby. Stella. Stella's just tough, real classy. Commercials are tough. The green bottle, it's like a better Heineken. Fuck Heineken. Stella's dang. Number 2 seed, gotta love it. I've never met someone that drinks beer or alcohol and doesn't like a Corona with lime. I've never met someone that doesn't like Corona with lime. If I were to go to the bar and say, yo, bro, you want me to buy you a drink and just buy you a Corona with lime, I feel like you'd be grateful. You'd be a satisfied friend of the customer of the bar. Coming in at number 1, baby. Number 1, my slept on number 1. It might make people's list out there in the fans, in the comments. But a lot of people won't have a crack in the top 3. It's my 1 seed, Michelob Ultra, baby. I love the Mich Ultra. If you could smack a Mich Ultra keg instead of a Natty Light keg when we were down in the Bury, I would smack it. Because Michelob is just crisp, cold, stealthy, sexy looking bottle with the navy blue and the red with the white. It's real dank, everything about it. Shout out to the brand. And so that's my list of beers. I'm going to cheers you one last time. And then Connor Maloney, C-Bones, is going to take over and give you his. So cheers.
All right, so how's it going? So for my honorable mention, I got Bud Light. You know, just a solid all-around beer, any time of the year beer. You know what you're going to get. That's the only one I had for my honorable mention. But coming in at number 5, I got Shock Top. I like to spice it up every now and then, and I like to spice it up with a good old Shock Top. Coming in at number 4, to me, is just like what beer is supposed to taste like. It's just the classic all-American Budweiser. You really can't beat it. That's my number 4. Number 5, I'm probably taking this one off Riley's board, but because I know he's a big fan of Blue Moon. But you can't really beat a good Blue Moon with a nice orange in it.
No way.
Number 2, it probably isn't going to be on a lot of people's boards, but I think it's a slept-on beer for sure. Bud Light Platinum. A little stronger than the Bud Light. You got that 6%. Definitely good. Definitely real good. And then coming in at...
Real good.
Yeah, real good. Coming in at number 1, I got a Corona with a lime. I mean, you can't beat that on a summer day. You really can't.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we go over it. I got Budweiser. I got Shock Top, Budweiser, Blue Moon, Bud Light Platinum, and then Corona.
That's a solid list.
Solid.
Yeah, a little versatile list.
Riley, kick it, Riley.
Hell yeah. I just realized they're not going to be able to see me on here except for the little bubble. That's all right. I'll get talking. Honorable mention. It's my most drinking beer. Like the cheapest one. You get 2 18s for $20 at any Rofo. Natural light. Done every night. And it's the way I take flight. I have 18 of them and then I'm good to go. But that's honorable mention. Shout out number 5. Only 1 more calorie than my favorite. She'll get her done too. It's how it's a beer is supposed to taste in my mind. Miller is the brand I rep. Corona is my number 4 beer with the lime. Doesn't need a lime always, but it's a great tasting brew. It's kind of light, but she'll get you slapped. She will, and you love it. This is where I get into my hefty drinking beers. I love the citrusy kind of vibe that comes from them. Shock Top is in at number 3. Is number 3. You put it next to my number 2, and my number 2 is just better, is Blue Moon. But they're neck and neck. They're right there for me. They're a tight competition. But Blue Moon, the nice orange, gets it done over the shot. 95 cows, not 96. The Mick Ultra at number 1. Blecker, I shout out. You will like that shit too.
Wow.
Nothing can top that, man. That navy blue is good looking. It is. I like the bottles, but yeah. Top it. Can't.
Gordo, talk to the fans. Talk to them.
All right. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me. Black Honorable Mentions Podcast, Episode 3. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to break down my top 5 beers for you guys. So we'll get right into it. I'll start with my honorable mentions. I wanted to go with the Blue Moon as well as the Lot 3. I think those are 2 quality beers that just maybe don't quite crack my top 5, but they're still pretty quality. I think you can have one on any night, and you'll still be set to go. But I'm saying number 5, we're going local. I'm going with the Nanticoke Nectar. We're talking like 7.5%, unbelievable taste. You can get it in a really cool little 4-pack or a 6-pack. It's versatile, located at really any spot here in town. So it's one I can always bank on. Number 4, I think all of you guys had it on your list. I went with the Corona. Like we said, classic with the lime, unbeatable. Number 3, I know you guys said Shock Top. I went with the Heavy Seas Tropicana. One of my favorite IPAs, very citrusy, but also very delicious. Comes in, a variety of packs. Always cold, always great. Number 2, I got one with the Voodoo Ranger. Now, I don't really know what flavor to go on. Maloney, I know you're a big fan. Recently, they've come out with a variety pack with a whole new bunch of flavors that I like just as much as the original. I don't know, maybe if you want to talk about that a little bit later, but that's really, I think maybe the original Voodoo Ranger is number 2. And number 1, I think my final best beer, I'm going local again, but I'm going with Trogs Perpetual IPA. Shout out Trogs, shout out Hershey, the hometown PA. This is my favorite beer of all time. I drink it the most. The Perpetual is really great. And just laughing at me. I don't know. It's just awesome. That's my favorite beer.
The Trogs a good beer. We had that on tap at Fucking
Yeah, thanks, Riley.
good, yeah.
Yeah, going back on what you said about the Voodoos, I like the 9% one they have, the Imperial. For like
Mhm.
9%, I think it tastes pretty good. And then I think the Juicy Haze though, it's like
The
basically
Juicy Haze, yeah.
but it's like I think it's like 0.5. I think it's 7.5 instead of 7. That's probably the best out of that variety pack.
Yeah, I agree. That one's pretty good. That one or the higher plane. I like that one too.
Yeah.
The unsurprising unanimous here was the Corona with the lime.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like that?
Everyone in their right mind knows they got it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna kick it off with running backs, and we're gonna redo the order. No snake drafts. No snake drafts here. We're going me, Connor, Riley, Gordo. Real quick, it's running backs this season of the 2020 season. There's no Bo Jacksons, no Emmitt Smith, none of that. There's also no last 5 years, last 3 years. It's based off this season, who we got as our top running backs in the league. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, kick it off with my honorable mentions. I have a few here because it's a little bit of beers for me. It's cooler. I like the subject a little more. And there's a lot of injuries to running backs this year, just injuries in general. And I think a lot of guys that were RB2 coming into the year stepped up, and they deserve a little shout out. And I'm going to start off with 2 of those guys, and Mike Davis and Frank Gore. Coming into the season, you got 2 top-notch, arguable top 5 talent and skill set. And in their prime seasons, they put up numbers in Le'Veon and Christian McCaffrey. One plays like shit and gets traded, and one goes down with a bad injury. Both running backs come in. Mike Davis tore it up. Fantasy, real life football on the gridiron, he killed it. Frank Gore is a walking life hack. Guy's a dinosaur. Looks like he's 28. He's on his like 30th season in the league, and he's still getting paid to play pro ball. Real quick, also, it's kind of cool. I watched a little video on him saying that his son is a freshman in college right now, and he would love to pull a little Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. Play on the same team as his son thing. So I think that's real cool. And then real quick, my last honorable mention is going to be James Conner. I think his whole story, bouncing back from that illness and being sick and banged up and injured and coming back and just killing it, not even playing well or just being on the sideline. He actually played really well for the circumstances. Also, I really think he should be on the list. I think he's going to be on the other guys' list, maybe some of them. Joe Mixon, he's a stud. He's definitely probably higher quality than Frank Gore or Mike Davis, and he deserves probably not even an honorable mention spot, but I have some guys up there that I think are a little bit better and edge them out of my top 10. So with that, we're going right into it. Number 10. I had him in fantasy last season, even though last season's not in the conversation. I just have a little sentimental value to him because of that, and that's Oakland Raiders back, Josh Jacobs. I think he's a stud. I think he's a sleeper. I think he's a great fantasy pick. I think he's great for Oakland. He's young, good size, good athleticism, and he's been on winning teams his whole life and coached by great coaches and played behind some great athletes and football players. So he's coming in at number 10. Number 9, I just got him in a fantasy trade in my other league, not my league with these guys right here, but my other league. I traded Zeke in a package deal, and I received Tampa Bay back, Ronald Jones. He's kind of under the radar, just really popping off, but especially on a team with so many great receivers that kind of get a lot of attention, a lot of looks, and then they add LaShawn McCoy and Leonard Fournette and all these other backs. So I really didn't know how to play out for Ronald Jones. I only knew a little bit about him because of our friend Sean Melcher, who you guys know from last week, so shout out him again. But Ronald Jones has been putting up absolute beast numbers. He had a couple bad weeks in fantasy with he only got a few points, but this last week he bounced back with 24, and I think he's going to keep the train rolling. And number 7, I got another guy I had in fantasy last season, and he's also coincidentally killing it, and he's going to bounce back from his injury. He just suffered recently, but beginning of the season and coming into the season, he was killing it, and that's Nick Chubb. He's just an absolute house. Guys, looking at guys trying to tackle him, is absolutely insane. They're like grown men, professional athletes that can't bring him down, and he just keeps running. And that is even more similar to my guy number 6. Coming in at number 6, I got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, absolute workhorse, complete stallion back, bro. He's big. I remember all those photos of him in college standing on the sideline, making dudes look tiny, running over people, just absolutely killing the game. You give him the ball, you're confident he's at least going to get you 3 yards. So that's why he's coming in on this list. And this was hard for me coming in at this top half of the list because this guy is so good and so talented, coached by great guys too, also played for winning teams. And he's been a stud in the NFL since the moment he came into the league. But he's just been playing so poorly on such a poor team this year that is in an awful division and upsetting and disappointing to everyone, including the fans. Zeke. I had him in fantasy. Like I said, I traded him. Zeke is – I get the offensive line is struggling, and they used to be very dominant, and they're not the same. I get they have great receivers that get targets, and they're struggling bouncing around young quarterbacks or veteran quarterbacks out of their prime. But the fumbles and the decisions to cut back and lose 5 yards in the crunch time of games is just absolutely devastating to me. I didn't have as much, but I could have lost as much in fantasy. I was edged by 1.2, and he fumbled the ball twice and got a loss of an 8-yard carry. And it was absolutely ridiculous to even watch on my screen. But that being said, I don't want to end it like that. He is a stud. He's a great runner, great vision, great athleticism, and slept on receiver out of the backfield. He could throw him a pass or something in the flats, and he'll take it. So that's why he's a stud. And now I'm going to come in with Alvin Kamara. So my 4 seed is going to be Alvin Kamara. And Alvin Kamara is going to he just changes the game, in my opinion. The combination of his speed and his athleticism and his just ability to move so quick laterally as well as down the field. It's insane. He jukes guys out. He spins them out. He takes off and bursts. And he could easily go off 3 touchdowns in a game. You have no doubt about it. Like, he's at least getting you 1. He's playing on a great team with Michael Thomas and Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders and all of them. So that's where he's sitting at on my list. And so number 3, when I first came up with this topic a while ago, before this was even a scheduled thing and we knew this was the topic, this guy was right here on my ranking. If I were to rank him right this second and only based it off the last few weeks, I think he could arguably number 1, and that's the back in the backfield for the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook. Absolute stud. I mean, he's been a stud. Don't get me wrong. He's been very good in the past, but it seems like he's just taking off to a new level and new heights. His ceiling doesn't even look visible to me. He chucks guys. He jukes guys. He catches the ball in the backfield. He takes pitches and motions as well as just regular up-the-gut handoff. And he can yards after contact, not even a thing. He literally can get hit and run for another 11 easily. First down machine. You can hand the ball off with 3 times, and you know you're probably going to get a first. And so number 1 and 2, when you look at the running backs in professional football these days, it's all interchangeable to me. It's all favoritism and preference. But I'm going to go with the guy I have in fantasy. I got him in a trade this year a little bit earlier in the season, about quarter through the year, week 5. Between week 4 and week 6, I got Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. Got injured, came back, banged up for a couple weeks, came back hot, picked up a quick 12 points in fantasy, and then this past week played great too, and I think he's going to continue. Another guy that's just in a great situation, unlike Zeke and unlike some of these guys or some of these other guys. He is on a great team. He's got Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, playing MVP ball right now. He's got Devontae Adams, one of the best at his position. Tony is putting on, their tight end core is putting on. And I really think Green Bay could go far this year, and a huge part of that reason is their offense, and a huge part of their offense, Aaron Jones. And coming in number 1, I think he's pretty unanimous, but like I said, I do get how you could argue anyone in this top 5, top 3, even top 10 almost. But I'm going to pick Carolina Panthers. Didn't suffer a career season ender like Saquon, luckily. So it was worth everyone keeping him around in fantasy. But Christian McCaffrey, absolute stud, man. He's like Peyton Hillis times 38 million. He is an athlete. He hurdles you. He shoots you. He can stiff arm you to the ground. Another guy that has great hands out of the backfield. He's basically another slot. Great size and strength to power through and just move the pile. And he also has great speed. And that's just a simple one for me. I haven't had the pleasure to have him in fantasy over the past 2 seasons, but I'm sure it's a great life to live because I play him and he gets between 20 and 30 points every time. So that's my number 1. And that's my list. So we have Jacobs, Ronald Jones, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Zeke Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and sitting at number 1, Christian McCaffrey. So shout out to NFL for getting through COVID and letting us watch these guys run the ball. And I'm going to let Connor give you his top 10 running backs of this season.
I'm just going to start off by saying my list is definitely a lot different than yours, Black. But so my honorable mention,
That's fair.
we got a guy that's battled injuries, but I think he's definitely got the talent to be in this conversation, Miles Sanders. He's kind of like a feature 3-down back in Philly. They kind of do it all. Definitely battled injuries a lot this season, so it's probably why he's not in the top 10. Another honorable mention guy, I got Todd Gurley. He's definitely on his way out, Todd, but he's found the end zone a few times this season. He's on a pretty shitty team in Atlanta, so they don't run the ball as much. But, he definitely deserves to be in the conversation with some of these other guys. Another guy that's battled injuries, but I think would cement himself in the top 10 if he was healthy all season is Chris Carson. He just battled injuries. I think that Seattle offense is so good that if he was healthy, he would definitely be putting up the numbers that some of these guys are. And then kind of a sleeper honorable mention I have who's been put up, if you picked him in fantasy late or happened to add him early in the season, you definitely got your money's worth out of him. Another guy on a bad team, but James Robinson, he's had a solid season. You look at his stats, he's ran for over 100 yards 3 times, and 1 time he ran for 99, so essentially 4 100-yard games. He's a good pass catcher. That offense isn't great, but I think he's kind of in the lone bright spot this season for them. So, all right, so coming in at number 10, this is a guy that's battled injuries, but when he's been healthy, he's arguably been the best running back in the league. Black had him at number 1, but I'm going to throw him in at number 10 just because of the limited snaps he's seen, and that's McCaffrey. I mean, you look at his first 2 games, 2 touchdowns, both games. The game he played a couple weeks ago, he dominated, but, he's sitting this week again, so it's tough to really put him in that top 5 mix with just such limited snaps. And then number 9, I got Hunt/Chubb. So Chubb's missed a lot of the season, so I couldn't really put him in there. And I've had Kareem in a few of my leagues, and he's stepped up. So I kind of think whoever's that starting Browns running back, he's going to be a top 10 guy, so I have them both in there. Number 8, I got Ronald Jones. He balled against Carolina. I just saw that big run at the end to boost his stats. A lot of people got nervous when they saw Fournette coming in, but he's really just taking over that backfield, and he's been one of the many bright spots that Tampa Bay offense has had. This guy is coming in at number 7. He definitely has the talent. He's probably one of the more talented guys on this list, top 3 talent-wise. In a bad situation with a bad offensive line, a banged-up team, banged-up quarterback. It's Zeke, it's tough for Ezekiel Elliott to really get it going on that offense with, they have their worst O-line they've had in years. They have no quarterback. It's kind of, everyone knows they're going to give it to Zeke first and second down and then just hope to get that third down pass off, so it's tough. But I think, a good season we've seen Zeke have, he's number 1. or 2 or 3, and that's just not this season. Coming in at number 6, I got James Conner. It's tough not to put him on this list. They're 9-0. There's so many weapons on that Steelers team that it's tough for him to get the touchdowns that he probably deserves. But I think he's just been such a good pass catcher and, such a good running back for them. They're 9-0. And, they're blowing out a lot of teams, so he doesn't get the touches in the late games. They kind of handed to that Benny Snell guy, or they bring in the other young guys. So I think his stats are a little deflated, I guess you could say. But then coming in at number 5, I got Aaron Jones. Another guy who's battled injuries, probably be higher up on this list if he didn't get hurt. Another great offense that kind of runs through him when he's healthy. Him and Devontae and Aaron. They're a great team this year, and, he's been a large factor of why. Coming in at number 4, we got the guy from Vegas, Josh Jacobs. He's real good. I think he's going to be a guy next year that's going to be pushing for the 2 or 1 spot on my list. I think, they're only going to get better. They're a young team. He's definitely been the bright spot for them. He runs hard. I just like how he plays. I wish I picked him in fantasy. I had the opportunity to, and I didn't. But it is what it is. I think he's a real good running back. And then, so coming in at number 3 for my top 3, this guy, Derrick Henry. He's Derrick Henry. There's not much more to say. He's just physically the most dominant running back in the league. In the fourth quarter, D linemen aren't going to want to tackle a guy the same size as them. It's evident. He hasn't had, as many big games as you'd think you'd see from him the past few weeks, but they're a real good team, and I expect them to keep producing. And coming in at number 2, I got my guy. I have him in 2 leagues. I know Gordon has him in the league we're in. He put up a big 3-touchdown game last week, and that's Kamara. Not having Michael Thomas those first few weeks for the Saints, people were nervous. They still won. That offense was still elite because of Kamara. The dude's a receiver at running back. They don't even hand the ball to him that often. If you watch the games, Latavius Murray gets a lot of the touches, and he still puts up crazy fantasy numbers. I'm glad I picked Kamara. Because remember he had the whole holdout thing in the beginning of the year. People didn't know if he was going to play or not. So he slept to me in a couple leagues, and I grabbed him, and it's been a great pick. And then I think, undoubtedly the best running back in the league this year, coming in at number 1 has been Dalvin. He's just, so good. The Vikings aren't a terrible team, but, they're not a great team. And Dalvin's kept him in a lot of games this year. I have no faith in Kirk Cousins. I think that Dalvin's made him look a lot better than he is on that offense. But I think Dalvin's by far been the best true running back in the NFL this year. And that's my list. Again, I just wanted to say thanks for having me on the podcast.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, I'll get started real quick. Thank you, Connor. I don't know why the hell you have McCaffrey at 10, but I guess because he's hurt, but I understand that. It's okay. Honorable mentions coming out of me. I got James Robinson. He's carrying that offense. He's the only one that has any kind of stature to his name that you actually want to hear or see on your fantasy lineup. You said he had almost 400-yard games. He's playing really good and very unexpected too. Second honorable mention I got is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He would be on your top 10 if they didn't have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. They don't utilize him or even need to run the ball that much. I think he's had like 6-7 carries the past couple weeks, just not even using him at all. But he has the capability to be a top 10 running back. All right, sleeper pick at number 10, I have Miles Sanders. He actually has the highest yards per carry in the NFL. No one knows that. He has been hurt on and off, but when he's healthy, that offense is playing a lot better. It just sucks that their offense is terrible. Wish they could be a little better for him. This guy at 9 was not at number 9 last year, or since he's been in his career. He's been a top 5 guy, arguably 5 or 4. Zeke Elliott. He's been fumbling, not looking like himself. I think he's just getting lackadaisical. Phil too confident how he is with his ugly ass nose ring, whatever he's got going on. So yeah, he's just not playing, being himself. Belongs at 9. Ronald Jones at 8. The guy is an explosive runner. He's been playing really good unexpectedly for Tampa Bay. Boy Melch is happy about him. I expect him to continue to keep running the ball, and they're going to keep giving him the ball more because he's proven that he can get it done and go be explosive right between the tackles. He had a 98-yard run the other day. Crazy. At 7, I got Josh Jacobs. He has been a tremendous running back this year. Just explosive, and he can get it done. I expect him to keep on the rise too. He'll keep climbing this leaderboard right here. And similar to what Maloney said, at next pick 6, Chubb has been out a lot, but I do have him in that slot, and I can pair that right with Kareem Hunt because they've been explosive 20-point per game backs. And out of the backfield, Chubb's, his legs are probably bigger than my whole fucking body. It's crazy. Crazy power. Aaron Jones at 5. He is on a very good team. He's catching balls out of the backfield. He's been banged up a little bit, but he's a very good back. He's not a top tier. I think he's yet to get to that point of being a top tier back in my eyes. I think the 4 that I have above him are the next level of tier that you'll see. Derrick Henry at 4. The guy can truck anybody, and he can just get through. It doesn't matter who's playing defense. He's going to run you over. He's a beast. I don't expect any. You can't tackle him either. Just fuck that. You don't want to. 2 and 3 are probably my hardest picks on the board. They're both very dynamic. They can catch the ball. They're both probably their biggest weapon on both their offenses. It's all they got. Number 3, Kamara. I will put him there. He just catch the ball out of the backfield. Just tremendous player, elusive, just making defenders miss, and he's smart too. He knows when to look, and he doesn't drop balls or do any dumb shit either. Dalvin at 2. He runs that offense. He is their offense. Kirk Cousins blows. Justin Jefferson, he's tough, but other than that, Dalvin Cook is getting it done. They're not passing that much. He scored 4 touchdowns against Green Bay. Green Bay is a tough team, 28-21 the other week. Like, that's tough. Just get it done put it all on your shoulders, Dalvin. He does. And at 1, Christian McCaffrey. He is the most explosive guy on my list. Most explosive guy in the NFL. He has been hurt this whole year, but when he's playing, he is the best running back in the NFL, and no doubt in my mind. Side note also, I left, or we all did. What's his name?
Todd Gurley.
Saquon. No, I didn't no, fuck Todd Gurley's washed. No, we all did. We didn't touch Saquon because he tore an ACL early on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. We can't really include him if he's not playing.
To the fans, I wanted to say this earlier, especially not being on Maloney's list. If you guys didn't know, he's a big Giants fan. Well, he would obviously all be on all of our lists. Saquon somewhere in that 5-1 range, I think we could all agree on. But due to how early in the season he got hurt and the severity of his injury, those reasons together, he's not included in the list today. So, Gordo, just want to put that out there.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, sorry about that, T-Bone. So I'll start with my honorable mentions. First up, I did Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I thought he just doesn't really get the opportunities to be, the touches to be at the number 1 through 10 spot. Obviously, with Mahomes, they're always passing the ball. He's not really getting the kind of carries that the other guys that are in the top 10 get. So I'll leave him on the outside. Mike Davis is my other honorable mention. He's been fantastic for me all fantasy season. I know you guys love that little video I put together, kind of that little RIP tribute, but now he's back again, the return. So that's great to have, but we'll put him on the honorable mentions list. So at number 10, I went with James Robinson. I know you guys left him off there, but I think just the amount of, touches he's getting, the looks that he's getting, he's making the most of it. He's getting tons of points this year in fantasy. I think he deserves a number 10 spot. Number 9, I went with Josh Jacobs. I know you guys had him a little bit higher, but I like him at the number 9 spot. I know he gets lots of touches, lots of carries. Like, I think he had 30 a couple games ago, which is crazy, but he's doing all right. I think maybe in a couple seasons, I think like Maloney said, we'll see him up in a couple higher spots. But number 8, I went with Kareem Hunt. I know he's a backup, but he's been fantastic in those games that Chubb wasn't playing. I think he was even like in the top 5 in rushing yards back when he played for the Chiefs a couple seasons ago. So to think that he's still at that level is pretty astounding. So I put him at number 8. And then number 7, I went with Nick Chubb. I know Maloney kind of slashed them together. That was kind of a cool move, but I still think he's a top 10 running back. I know we saw he came back last week, did fantastic, had a great week. He's looking great. I think he's as good as ever. He's only a couple, years in the league, so he'll probably just keep getting better. I could see him going up in the list as well. Number 6, I went with Derrick Henry. I know, how we all think about him, unstoppable, especially later in the games. One of those powerful running backs we've seen, so I think that's a good spot for him. Number 5, I went Aaron Jones. He gets so many touchdowns, man. He's so reliable in the end zone. And it just seems like every time he runs it, he gets, 7, 8 yards. He seems to always be able to get to that next level pretty consistently. But I had him at 5. I think that's a pretty fair spot. And 4, I went with Zeke. I know we all harped on the offensive line, the terrible quarterback, but as a Cowboys fan, I can't put him outside the top 5. I think if circumstances were more equal, he would be able to shine in maybe a little bit different of a role. But for right now, I think 4 is a pretty fair assessment. So let's go with number 3. Number 3, I went Dalvin Cook. Like we said, Kirk Cousins is obviously terrible, can't be trusted. He really has been carrying the offense. They had a couple wins last week where I think he went over almost 200 yards maybe. He has just been having multiple touchdowns. He's been unstoppable, scoring on tons of runs from over 50 yards or catching screen passes. He really seems like one of the most explosive players in the league. Number 2, I went with Christian McCaffrey. We all see how he's able to get those receiving numbers that he has, one of the most in terms of receptions out after, first couple of seasons of the game. So he's been amazing. He's been unstoppable, after the first tackle. He really has been pretty generational. But I left him at 2 because obviously my number 1 pick, I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. He's been absolutely phenomenal this season. His numbers are through the roof. In terms of fantasy, he's had 3 30-plus games in a week. He's at 3 30-plus week games, which is more than anybody else so far. So that's definitely something to think about. And obviously, he carried me to a big win over Seabone in fantasy this week. So sorry about that. I know you were probably looking pretty good for that 30-bomb drop from Kamara. So I couldn't do anything else but put him at number 1. So that's really my reasoning.
All right. That's a bunch of crazy lists right there, similarities and a lot of different. Real quick, just because we're chilling, watching the draft and just having a chat. And since it's our first Zoom episode and we have everyone here on video in kind of a roundtable setting, I'm going to give all of us a little chance to just talk about something we want to talk about on the list, whether it's beer or running backs. But I just wanted to put 2 things out there that were cool that weren't on the list. Riley did mention how and shitty time really might be. But I know he hasn't produced yards. I want these things out. He's second right now in touchdowns by on the season, which is one of the things he got bashed for, even in his better season. And so, with that said, I also want to say, not a running back. He's not going to be on the list, but Kyler Murray has running back-like stats. He has more touchdowns than almost every person we named on the list. He's averaging more yards per attempt than almost every person we have on the list. And for such a small and undersized guy in the league to go to the next level and run downhill against these defensive backs and linebackers and ends and whatnot, I think for his touchdowns and his yards, his rushing stats are just adding to the Kyler Murray story. Each of us and go through not necessarily your specific list or any list. We could do your specific list, but just give us one surprise and one disappointment from this year's fantasy, not fantasy, but NFL running back situations, and I'll start it off by saying my disappointment is obviously unanimous, Zeke. But I'm not gonna go say that. I'm gonna pick my boy, who was my boy at Michigan State. I got his jersey before people even knew him. It was fucking Christmas of like 2015, 2016. I got a Le'Veon Bell jersey. He came to the Jets. He was my boy. He was such a stud in Pittsburgh, such a stud in Michigan State, hurdling guys, chucking guys, lateral quickness, everything. He started getting that spotlight of the top 10, top 5 back in everyone's book. And I really think he was top 5 or even top 3. And then he comes to my Jets, and I was so stoked. And he gets an awful season, awful start. I think he's really going to bounce back with a little different offense and come in strong, healthy. And he really did. Even when he was on the team, I do know he got traded, obviously. But when he was on the Jets this season, yes, they weren't giving him the ball when he wanted it or when maybe he should have gotten it all the time. And they weren't really giving him a great offense to work with. But that being said, with his skill set and his past history, he was playing so subpar that he's my disappointment. And my surprise was going to be Dalvin, but it really isn't that surprising when you look at it and you see him on highlights and clips. He's a beast. So my surprise is it's going to be Kareem. And it's not because I didn't think Kareem's good. I had Kareem in fantasy in the past. I know his first stint with the Chiefs, he's a beast. But then he got hurt, came back. Then he had his whole incident with his whatever that whole domestic incident he got into, and then people didn't know who was going to sign him, who was going to give him a chance, who was going to make a comeback, and if he did, if he was going to be conditioned and good enough to play. And also, he goes on a sick offense with Odell and Jarvis and Baker and Nick playing behind Nick Chubb. How's he going to do was the question, and I think he completely outshined all the negatives and everything about that. So he's my surprise. He's playing top-notch football. And, next is going to be Conley.
All right, so my surprise, like biggest surprise I've had, probably Ronald Jones. I think, before they got Leonard Fournette and everyone was freaking out that it was going to be the Fournette show like it was in Jacksonville for a while, but he's just produced week in and week out. I mean, like Riley said, he's a hard runner, and he's real good. Biggest letdown, I think. I mean, if you took Ezekiel Elliott in the 3 spot of your fantasy draft, I mean, he clearly just hasn't produced. Talent's definitely there. He hasn't produced. I don't even know if his, I don't think personally. I mean, I hate the Cowboys, but I don't think his head's in it. He's got no one on that team, and I think, I think he's just having a bad year. It happens. Another thing is Obi Toppin's and Nick, future rookie of the year, playing in the Cardinals next year.
Yeah, right.
Riley, who's your surprise and disappointment?
Well, Zeke's obviously my biggest disappointment, but I'm gonna try to pick another one real quick because he just shit the bed. He's just given up. He's just done. I'm gonna. I'm kind of disappointed in the Ravens running game, to be honest with you, and Lamar Jackson as a whole. I want to say that I don't know. We just kind of lost our magic, whatever we had going last year. I'm kind of pissed off about it. We do have we're playing the tough run defenses in the AFC though. Like everyone's tough in the AFC. Also, I'm disappointed in David Johnson out of Houston too, and the whole Houston team. They've just been fucking crapping themselves down too, just shitting it. David Johnson he was tough, and I thought he was healthy again, ready to fucking go, and now.
All right, surprise. Who's your surprise?
I'm surprised about James Robinson being even a name we're talking about. Like, why is he relevant? I've never heard of him, honestly. I don't even know he went to college or anything, but I thought they were just fucked after I heard Fournette left their team, and they were just done.
Yeah.
And I was mentioned thing. He was like, pick me first, and they know from that point that no one's gonna win the fantasy league with Minshew first overall. So you get free Bud Light for a year or something like that.
Gordo, what's your take?
That's
Gordo?
funny. I'd say my biggest disappointment of the year so far has been Kenyon Drake, dude. they have just been not using him at all down in Arizona. They only run it to him when it's just, in a halfback dive right up the gut, gets absolutely nowhere. He's getting stuffed, and they could just be unfazed. Their offense is an air raid with Kyler Murray. He steals all the touchdowns when it gets close to the goal line. Kenyon Drake is just an afterthought in that offense. They only use Chase Edmonds in the passing game. So really, when all you're getting is just halfback dives up the gut, you're not getting anything. He's probably been my biggest disappointment.
Do you obviously think that Kyler Murray's rushing ability is playing a role in Kenyon's?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you got a guy that's that talented, why not give it to him? Every fourth play, just let him run. He's getting 15 yards a run. Why not just let him run after it? And if he's getting to the end zone, he's beating guys to the corner. Why not? If he's doing that consistently, what's the point to even have Kenyon Drake on your team? Not that he's a bad back. I think he's pretty good. He had 100 yards last week. But, yeah, he just doesn't do shit. So I think my biggest surprise, I'd go with Mike Davis. He's really filled in nice for McCaffrey. He's definitely someone we didn't think was going to do well. But in that that same role that he's had, he's been almost as productive. So I think that's something we didn't think we were going to be talking about.
That's a good one, too. So I'm going to let them say everyone say a little outro, say a little thank you, goodbye type thing. And then I'm just going to give you a quick rundown for the upcoming scene here at Honorable Mention.
Awesome, Black. Well, I just want to thank you again for letting me have on here. It was a pleasure. Really interesting to think about all these beers you guys are talking about. Something new to try next time I hit Cheers. So good luck on the podcast, man, and thanks for having me.
You got it, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Everyone had different lists for, the running backs. It was kind of cool to see everyone's opinion. I think they thought was the best. Thanks for having me. Love the podcast. Keep it going. Keep the grind going.
Yeah. Peace out, homie.
Shout out Obi Toppin. Shout out Obi. And real quick, I'm just going to give you a little rundown. So what we got coming up for y'all. So we're going to keep this going with the Zoom. And we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel that we've been updating every day. We got new playlists on there for you. We got a alcoholic beverage channel for all you fans out there that like seeing people do stupid things with alcohol and consumption. We got a sports and athleticism type of trick shot stunt page going. And then we got a playlist on food reviews, just your classic. Everyone in this Zoom right now, everyone that I'm pretty good friends with, is big food guys, huge foodies. And we love trying new foods and finding new spots to call our little grub spots. So just real quick again, we got the shirts. We got one of our shirts came in. We got our second shirt's coming in the 27th. A cooler shirt, also cheaper price, $10 and a free sticker. And the hats will be in the week after that with the hoodies. So if you guys want anything, obviously reach out on social media. If you have my number, just contact me or Riley. And Riley or me will hook you guys up. And other than that, I just want to say thanks to the guests. Me and Riley are always into it, but it's great to see the friends helping out and joining the show, even if it's not someone that's literally does the topic or related to the topic directly. They're just one of our friends that like to hop on and put in their input. It's awesome. And we're appreciative of that. And then we just want to shout out the other guests that we've confirmed schedulings with and we've penciled into our calendars. We got a couple cool people coming on. We got some V1 football studs for you. Shout out Real and Mooch. We got Sarah Cordo, a college athlete and a very good photographer coming on. We got Razor Ray from the 845 coming on. Great barber, doing great things right now. Cut some really cool people's hair. He's cut people on the Knicks. Does house calls for some awesome heads. So shout out to him. And then we also have Oklahoma meteorologist and sports fan who launched and founded his company, Let It Fly Media, a drone and videography company that's doing very well out of Kansas City. So shout out to him. And then finally, on his birthday, I want to shout out my teammate since I was real little. This chipped tooth right here is from him back in the day. Brendan White, happy birthday, buddy. Connor knows him pretty well, too. He's a Mahopac kid. He just got drafted to the Detroit Tigers as a pitcher, great right-handed pitcher. And he's going to be coming on with us in a few weeks talking about baseball and some other cool topics, some exercise and food topics. And he's just been killing it. I hate when people get petty and they, out of spite, say, "Oh, I played with that kid. I was just as good as him. He shouldn't make it." There's one kid that I played ball with my whole life that I could say grinded and deserves to be where he's at, getting drafted in the MLB, playing in the show, and that's Brendan White. So just shout out to him and all the other guests, including Gordo and Connor. And thank you guys for tuning in. Stay active on our social media. We got the Twitter and Instagram going. We got the YouTube channel popping. We got 185 views on episode 1, and it was a half-assed job, and we're only getting better. And we're almost at 100 on episode 2, so hopefully this episode beats it. And thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, man.
Shout out.
See ya.
Everyone take it easy.